which I think is a good segue into our second topic. So the Brawl mode, this is my clickbait statement. I think it is the most broken mode in World of Tanks because
Yes, dude, we're like professional podcasts now.
I am sitting in a throne room. What are you talking about? This is my bathroom.
The porcelain throne room.
Exactly. Well, how's it going, man? I mean,
It's good. I keep getting asked about Frontline, so this is a good thing to talk about tonight. You know?
yeah, it's a hot button topic. So we'll definitely dive into that one. But I kind of figured we would just start off with that Q&A thing because I think it's
Yeah.
the most topical subject and it's kind of a good way to just jump in.
I should
So
open up those notes. Yeah.
Did you read those?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they were definitely worth reading, I think.
We also, before we kind of go into that, we really wanted to throw a shout out to Cody Menz and then also like Nick Shocks and 13 Disciple for that whole thing, but Cody specifically for taking the notes because that was awesome. You know, he really kind of saved the trouble of having to go through 2 hours of video and still get the highlight.
Cody is the guru.
Mr. Watt Guru.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, I don't know. Did you kind of want to just jump into it? Like what kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, we can just jump right into it. The thing I wanted to talk about, if I had a chance to do that, but I didn't know if I could make the time commitment. So I was like, I don't know if I can do it, guys. And it was a good thing I didn't because I was doing yard work like all that day. We had to like get the yard work done. I wanted to talk about reward tanks the most because I think reward tanks are, I mean, a hot topic. Haggler just rated. Oh, I have the sound turned off for the podcast. I gotta say hi to Haggler and the dudes real quick. Haggler, what's up, guys? We're doing a podcast for World of Tanks right now. So welcome out, guys. Thanks for the raid. And we're just starting out by talking about the developer Q&A that, you know, Cody Menz, Nick Shock, and 13 Disciple got to talk to some developers. And so we're just going over some of the notes. And I was most excited to if I got to be on it. I wanted to ask them about reward tanks, specifically, like, can these things be removed from, well, nerfed for one, and if not, like, can they at least be removed from Clan Wars?
Yeah, and not just Clan Wars, but and that's partially what we're going to talk about when we get into like the Brawl mode, but these special events, because they're so broken in some of those you know, special events that that might be at least a good way of balancing it out, even if they're not going to nerf them specific.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, and then people can still be excited about playing them because I think they said that, I gotta find the note to it, they're afraid to nerf them because people worked really hard for them. Let me see. So they said they're thinking about matchmaking changes to possibly for banning tanks from ranked battles. Oh, they just said ranked though. They didn't say Clan Wars.
Yeah, that's what. But I think the point is that they're kind of looking at. They're looking at it. I think that's the most important takeaway, is that if they're not necessarily going to nerf the 279 and the Chief, they're at least trying to look for alternative ways. So like ranked or whatever.
Right. I mean, I think I made a video about how to beat the 279. Everyone's like, "Thank you. I hate fighting these things in ranked." And then I made a video about. Did I make a video about ranked? I think I did. Wow, it's like all blending together. But everyone's like, "Oh, just play Chieftain and just play 279, and then you have finished ranked easy."
I thought you didn't make the video because you were waiting for like whatever the next one is, you know, like.
Oh yeah, I took notes. I took a lot of notes.
You know, you kind of figured out all the different ins and outs of how the ×2 worked and stuff.
Right. Yeah, because it's more about using your ×2s effectively. Like, I finished ranked with the Manticore, but I think the average player doesn't want to have to fight chieftains and 279s because ranked is already not that fun for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part, right? Like, is that, they want to at least have some balance on what kind of tanks people bring into ranked, right? So it's not just chieftains and 279s and EBRs and.
Well, which is interesting because on the NA server, when I play ranked on the NA server, I feel like you don't see more than like 3 reward tanks on average per game. So it's really not a huge factor for like winning or losing. But then people on the EU server are like, no, there's a lot of chieftains. So maybe EU is different. Like, I don't know. But for NA, I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, especially 279s, you might see like, unless there's a platoon of them, you might see like one.
But you
in
can't.
A battle.
But you can't platoon ranked though.
Yeah, but you can't platoon ranked. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Artie does a decent job of balancing those tanks if it's the right map, but
they love to shoot those tanks.
It's not guaranteed. Oh, dude, they do, especially 27.
Yep. Like, I'm really close to getting it, but I kind of am not excited about playing it because I'm going to be the #1 Artie target, even when I'm anonymized.
Yeah, I can vouch for it. It is, it's extremely frustrating to play, honestly, just because, first of all, people will just flat out YOLO that tank. They're not scared of it. They want to get it out. They hate you. So, like, I don't know. It's fun to play it sometimes, but yeah, it's not fun getting focused all the time.
So they think like my death is worth the chance to get this thing out of the battle, because if it's not there, then we can win, because that's the only reason they're winning. Like, that's their mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, or people will just automatically start spamming HE at it. And so if enough tanks are spamming HE at you, like, you get chipped down pretty fast. Like, it really doesn't take long.
Right. Vaughn in the chat says, because you got the boost for playing different tanks, you saw a lot more different tanks in ranked, and he says it was the same in EU. So that's actually interesting.
I don't know though, because especially if you do kind of what you're going to talk about in your video, you don't really want to be playing a lot of different tanks. Like, you want to play like 2 or 3 a night, use your 2 times, and then
yeah, if you're going for like gold's ranking, then yeah, that's what you need to do.
I really thought that the guys did a good job though of coming up with a really wide range of questions. Like, one of them I never would have thought to ask, but it's such an interesting question. If your tank is caught on fire,
oh yeah,
does it go out faster if you stop moving? And I've had people tell me that.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, no, that's not true.
People in Twitch chat told me that, and then I started telling other people that. Yeah, I heard it from Twitch chat, and so I believed it.
I mean, it sounds right.
It just goes to show you that everything you hear on the internet is not true, guys.
Yeah, and
protect
Cody
yourselves.
said in his video that, like, that's why, guys, honestly, I really recommend watching Cody's video where he kind of goes through the whole thing. It's on YouTube, because he provides a little bit more insight to each point. And when he talked about like the fire mechanics question, he was like, no, dude, they spent a lot of time researching this before they talked to us. He said, like, he's like, yeah, no, they went through all the code, and like, they were like, yeah, nope, we can't find anything.
Oh, they
like,
actually researched it beforehand.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they provided them with a list of questions, he said. And but like with this one, they were like, nope, there's nothing in the game that would lend itself to that being true.
Maybe if you go on water, we can start that rumor. If you go on water, the fire will get put out faster. That sounds like a good one.
If you have a premium account and you pay for the premium battle pass,
you won't even get caught on fire anymore.
Never.
Nope.
You get unlimited fire extinguishers. It just always puts it out.
The more you pay, the better you do.
Well, so what else jumped out to you, like out of all the topics? There's a lot of topics, and like really a few of them kind of stood out to me. But I'm curious, like what else you found interesting?
Oh, the other one. This dude, don't get me started. But the other one is the question was, why does it take so long to rebalance tanks? And
Yeah,
I read their answer. I was like, come on, like this is just corporate speak right here. Where I'm trying to find it real quick.
yeah. They said that it takes 3 to 6 months to change things. Let's see here.
Which is
Takes
not
one
true.
to two quarters. 1 to 2 quarters. He said that because good players play a tank first, it's not a good indication of whether or not the tank is uh, unbalanced.
Right. Yeah, and I've heard that before. That's familiar because you take like a tank like the 50B or the Bat Chat, and it like nowadays are not so much, but back like a year or two ago, they're very strong tanks. You see them in Clan Wars a lot, and what was it? People are like, oh no, those are tanks you should only play if you're good players because like they're really hard to play. And then other people would say like, well, why don't they buff them then if like they're not that good and only good players do well on them? And the thing is, because good players were like, they're really polarized. So it's like the good players play it like way up here, and then the average players play it like down here. And so then the statistics like meet so that it looks like a balanced tank. But in the hands of a good player, it's actually like overpowered. But they go by the community average. The thing that, yeah, I don't know. There's still tanks. I'm like, how did that even get put in the game in the first place? You know?
See, the problem is it's like, okay, we've had I think 3 campaigns now with the Chieftain, and so some more like average players have gotten it in the last year and a half, and it definitely brought the mark requirements down. But if you put that tank in the hands of a really good player, it is extremely overpowered. Just because somebody's not a good player and they don't know how to play to its strengths doesn't mean the tank's not overpowered.
Right. Yeah, so you could put someone in it and they get like 500 damage every game, and then the statistics for it go way down. And does that mean it's balanced? Like, no. It just means that there's a lot of people who play it badly.
Yeah. So I don't know. And they talked about like how they're looking at buffing like the E50M and like the 121. But like it took them so long to even get to the phase where they were testing buffs to the E100 and like the IS4 and stuff like that. So it's like it takes them years takes them years to actually buff things.
Right. I think one tank that's interesting is the Barask. Because when I played the Barask, I was like, this tank is really, really good. I didn't make a YouTube video on it, but I wanted to advertise it as like, this thing is really good. But then at the same time, I'm like, I can almost guarantee you that there's gonna be a lot of people saying it's not because the gun is kind of derpy, and there are. And so like I would say, I don't know, I would say the tank's just way better than like a lot of the tech tree things, but it got released and that's never gonna get changed. Like it's a premium. But tanks like the 2684, I think it took like 9 months before they nerfed it. And that tank was super obviously like ridiculous. But I think statistically it probably averaged out because most people who play tank destroyers just snipe. And if you snipe with that tank, it just averages out the stats. It's not a very good tank.
Or they they're too aggressive in it and they overestimate its armor and they die.
Right. They YOLO too hard.
I mean, I see that in 279s a lot though too. So it's the same kind of thing.
What else do you think was interesting from the Q&A?
Let's see. So here's something that I really think impacts you.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say then.
Yeah, the fact that they're looking at doing Twitch drops. I
That
think
would be
that's
super
gonna
cool.
be awesome for Twitch Prime.
Because that really, like that exploded like on what was the game? Tarkov? When they did drops for Tarkov where they're dropping random loot for people. If you're so what it is, for anyone who doesn't know, Tarkov just had a super successful Twitch drops event. And so if there's a streamer that had drops enabled and you were watching their channel and the volume had to be on or you count as an inactive viewer if the volume's off. So if you're watching their channel, you would get like a random stuff in game. So you're basically getting like free rubles in Tarkov. And for watching the stream. So these streamers that would normally have like 4,000 or 5,000 viewers, like there some of them were having like 30,000, 40,000, 100,000. Like it was crazy. And so what that would mean for tanks is if they did Twitch drops, if you're watching someone's Twitch stream, instead of the person having to do like giveaways, only one person gets it, they're just randomly going to be giving people prem time and or credits and or maybe even like a premium tank on occasion, just randomly.
Yeah, Overwatch did a really interesting thing kind of in that same vein where they really wanted people to watch their pro league. So if you watched their pro league streams, you would get a currency to buy skins in the game.
Which, I mean, like, I'm sure the Pro League got a lot of views from that, right? I didn't see it, but
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, people, if there's something in it for them, there's loot or whatever, people are much more motivated to not just tune in, but to keep watching. And like that's like the goal is to retain the view.
right. That's the kind of event where if you can get up to be the number one guy when it's happening, and then all the people start coming in for the drops, your channel is just going to go nuts. Like that. Yeah, it was crazy to watch. Should have done that for the WG LNA streams. That would have actually got people to watch Gold League probably.
Well, from what I heard on Cody's video, it hasn't been ironed out contractually yet. Like they're talking about it, they want to do it, but both sides have to agree to it.
Right.
So it's not just like, it's like they want to do it, but they have to make sure that they can hammer it out with Twitch.
It's probably a lot of legalities too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. What else was there that really jumped out to you?
I think that was pretty much it for me. Like those are my hot topics, the reward tanks and the balancing tanks.
I thought there was one more that kind of stood out, and it was that they asked them if there was going to be an option to buy premium tanks with credits in game, and or with so basically just a way for people to get premium tanks without having to spend real money. And they said that they kind of looked at it and that they've been monitoring rentals and stuff from like Frontlines, and they've been kind of, at least the impression I got was that they were kind of surprised at how little of a success it's been. So I don't know. It was interesting though that they've been looking at that because you know I think it's nice to provide other ways for people to get premiums without having to spend gold
Right.
or cash.
Right now, tank rewards is a really good way. Granted, you get like tier 6 premiums, but you get good ones. Like this month is the Type 64. Last month it was the T3485M.
Yeah, those are really good tanks.
I'm surprised a lot of people didn't really respond to that. I thought it was actually would sell a lot more. That's right, they did test it for Christmas.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know what's going to really catch on with people. But I think Tank Rewards has been pretty successful. So hopefully they'll keep looking.
I also feel like a lot of people don't know about tank rewards.
Yep. Kind of like tournaments. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the game that people aren't really aware of, which I think is a good segue into our second topic.
My favorite game mode.
No, the other game mode, because we're talking about Wargaming not doing a good job of promoting things, and
Right. I was,
You
man,
didn't even really know that was going on.
no, I heard about it. I heard about it, but I didn't get to play it because I didn't know it was like exactly when it was happening. And then I was like, okay, so where's Brawl mode? And I was like, oh, maybe it's in this, drop down in game. And then I tried it and it was over. I missed it.
Yeah, it was a super short run. And chat, we would really like to get your impressions of it if you participated, thoughts. But I ended up only doing 1 day because I didn't know there were missions for it because there were 2 missions that gave bonds, and I didn't even notice that until Sunday, and it was only from Friday through Sunday.
I didn't even know it was, I didn't even know it was open. And then there was missions. Like, yeah, it's so weird. Like, that seems like something that you would want people to like really know about when it's coming out. And maybe they did advertise it well, and maybe I just don't pay attention. Like, I think for me, there needs to be like something flashing in game, like, hey, new 7v7 mode, or like open now. Otherwise, like stuff on the website, I don't really see. And stuff in the portal, there's just a lot of ads, so I don't really. I think I kind of tune out the portal a lot because it just feels like ads and stuff.
Yeah, so ICE is bringing up that it's 7v7, so people that brought Artie to it kind of screwed their team.
Wow,
But
they
at the
actually
same
allowed Artie.
time, they did, but I never had Artie in any of my games. And
Wow.
so I was kind of telling you this before, but I honestly think it is the this is my clickbait statement. I think it is the most broken mode in World of Tanks because it's 7v7. There's there's really not Artie in it, and you can bring a 279 into that game.
Right.
And there's just not much to balance it. Plus, it was a lot of newer players because they gave people tier 10s to play. Um, there were like 5As and I think 140s were the two rentals that they gave out.
Right. Because if I get in a random battle and it's 15v15 and it's 357 matchmaking or whatever the matchmaking is now, maybe there's 4 top tiers, I don't know. But say like one team has a 279 and the other team has an E100, I'm like, GG, we're going to lose this game. We're going to lose this game. GG, guys. And that's more more watered down because there's a lot more tanks. But in a 7v7, that's that's a huge advantage. And the same thing with like if one team brings Artie and your team doesn't, like for anyone who doesn't really okay, how would I explain that? I used to play tier 6 strongholds all the time. And I would play with good teams and we'd be like, should we bring an Artie? And we're like, because it really makes you have a high chance to lose if you bring Artie in a 7v7, even at tier 6. It's very hard to win.
Yeah, and then they also allow platoons. So people were bringing platoons of 3 279s in there.
No.
Yes. Yep.
What do you?
Yep.
That's wow. That's like that reminds me of console matchmaking. You could bring 5-man teams into 15-person matchmaking, and
That's broken.
there was people who they were super tryhard. They would be all good players, and they would bring the meta tanks, and they would only play while platoon, and they had 80% win rate at tier 10. Doing that, I could see that 7v7 mode with wow. That is really broken. I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to platoon in that mode, let alone like if they don't match up the reward tanks per 1v1, like it's a huge mismatch. And like, why would you want to play it?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where it is. And I kind of wonder if maybe they were doing a test run just to see, how it would work. If people were interested in it and how bad it would be with the reward tanks because it was only 3 days, which is really weird for
That
them
is
to
weird.
roll out an event for 3 days. But yeah, it was just I played because to get the missions you had to do like I think it was like 3 battles of being top 5 out of 7 and 3 battles of being top 3, and I think it was about 75 bonds for both missions total.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean it was broken. I
That's
mean,
yeah, I agree. I didn't even play it, um but as far as like enjoying a 7v7 game mode, I used to really love team battles. And this is a really old thing in the game that slowly got filtered out of the game and no longer exists. They used to have a 7v7 mode called team battles where you could queue up with friends or just get random people on a team and then you would launch. And it was it was at tier 8, but there's a point limit. So point limit was by tier. So you could bring six tier 8 tanks and 1 tier 6, or 5 tier 8 tanks and 2 tier 7s. And then it was attack and defend mode. And I thought it was really fun. It kind of mirrored the Pro League at the time, which was tier 10, 7v7 attack and defend. And I loved playing the mode. It was really good for credits. And I was just sad when they got rid of it. So I've always thought 7v7 is like would be a good game mode, but I don't think they do. I don't think they like it.
I like that it opens up the map. Like, I think I played
Yes.
on Himmels. I played on Steps. I think Ensk. Yeah. I can't. I think it's a limited map selection, maybe like 3 or 4 maps. But I'm hoping that they take it. I think it can be successful. I think they're gonna have to tweak it, and I think they probably shouldn't allow platoons or reward tanks, and I think it would be a lot more fun.
You see that comment in chat? That's actually a really good comment by 68 Red Gadget. He says on EU they had Team Clash, which was a huge success, and I forgot about that. You could choose from a four different teams: Skill, Mylan, Des Games, and I don't remember the last one. But I remember they would get emblems. They could have like the content creators were a commander skin, so you could have like a skill for LTU like commander in game. It was really neat. Oh, awesome epic guys, yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I love when they do stuff like that. Oh, real quick, Airsoft Junkie. We already covered that, but no, they are not going to nerf the 279 or the Chieftain. That is, they basically flatly said in their Q&A they are not going to nerf them. Not direct.
Right. Zerker, I think you're letting go of push to talk a little too early, so you cut off.
I'll try to
just at the very end, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always thought, yeah, what you said, so it opens up the map. Because right now at tier 10, the view ranges are so high, the guns are so accurate, that a lot of the maps, you just kind of go to these static positions and you just, I call it is, I say you wait for people to make mistakes until the teams get filtered down to more of like a 5v5 or 7v7 format. And then you can start actually doing plays because there's room to move. And it's kind of why I say I think tier 7 has the best view range system, because as a light tank at tier 7, you can actually start to move around the map and kind of be stealthy. You don't just get perma-spotted by medium or heavy tanks who are just holding frontline positions. Like, you can actually use some tactics. And the 7v7 mode already starts you off at that point. Like, there's already a lot of space on the map open. That's why I like it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think it really kind of highlights a lot of the issues with their map design, in that they're just lanes, and we get very bogged down in the meta of like, well, the heavies go here and the mediums go here, and and when you open up the map and you take out half of the tanks that are normally on that map, it allows for so much more strategy and you know playing
Yes.
playing, I don't know how to put it, but like, just it really makes you use your mind instead of just, I'm going to go to this one spot.
There's a lot more responsibility on individual players too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you get well, like we were saying, you get an arty player and the other team doesn't have an arty player and they decide to just rush, like, that's going to make a huge
You're gonna
difference.
lose. Yeah, you're probably gonna lose. Usually the strat, if you're like calling, because they used to do gold league would have 7v7 and they'd bring arty. If you brought an arty on on attack, the strategy for the defending team would be to push out of base and try to just take map and trap you. And so you would push into like forward positions that were actually like a camp strat and try to hold and see if they push. And if they don't push, then you can start creeping in and then artying them down. But otherwise, yeah, most teams just attack that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, do you want to transition to our other topic then?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
um, so front lines seems to be a very polarizing topic. I have watched other CCs talk about how they won't play it anymore and they hate
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
There's other
So
ones that say
yep,
that.
yep, yep. I think Guido did a whole video on how much he hates front lines and he won't play it anymore.
I mean, I don't think I've even prestiged once, like where you get like the rank up, or I don't even know. I've played it enough to understand the mode. I played it enough to like understand a lot of the map meta, and it just wasn't fun. I stopped playing it. I don't know if you still enjoy playing it or not.
I mean, I'll play it to get. So I did the whole thing last season and I got the phase one and I've been doing it this season. I like to get the tanks. But I also see a lot of positives in it. I see all the negatives too. I mean, I totally get why people don't want to play it. Um, but at the same time, I also feel like people kind of overlook a lot of the major strengths of front lines.
Right, kind of like ranked mode actually had some strengths, and I think they're similar to kind of what Frontlines has. Uh, it's like, well, for one, a lot of people really care about their stats in this game, and when you play ranked, stats don't matter. You can do whatever you want. You could suck, and it's not going to hurt you statistically. And Frontline's the same way. Like you can grind your tanks, you can grind your crews, you can grind credits. You can do it. You don't have to shoot premium. You don't have to run food, and you can just make progress, like good progress in the game, leveling up. And if you play bad because you're not shooting premium, or you're just like running bad crews because you're trying to train up some really crappy crews, it doesn't matter. Like you're still gonna be able to train them, and your win rate's never gonna suffer. Your stats won't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's all the obvious stuff, the bonds and the credits and the reward tanks. I mean, those are all fantastic. I mean, gosh, I can get if I really want to, I can get 20 plus million credits from a week of frontlines. Like, and that's not even really trying. So it's a good way to kind of fill your coffers, so that you can play and not have to worry about credits later, in randoms. Like if you want to play tier 10 or whatever, you're going to have the cash to do it without having to worry about it. Um, but I feel like people really overlook using it as a learning tool for like, because I feel like one of the most common reasons why players don't improve is that they don't learn how to conserve their health and not throw their tank away. And you think that that's not going to be an advantage in front lines because you can heal your tank. But if you constantly are dying, you're going to be sitting for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, waiting for your tank to respawn.
Right. And I actually didn't know that because I was really good at surviving. And one time I just started playing light tanks, like, oh, let's just YOLO for Artie or whatever, and died. I'm like, why can't I spawn it? It was a really long wait.
Yeah, if you're playing aggressive and like you're trying to cap points and stuff, you can end up sitting for long periods of time. And that's the key to getting general. If anybody wants to know how you get general, it's not dying. Don't die and keep your tank in the game.
Because
That's how you get general.
there's no downtime of driving back to the battle or anything.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're sitting for 3 or 4 minutes, that's 3 or 4 minutes you could have been shooting. So I feel like it is a good way to kind of and you should, like you said, you really shouldn't be shooting premium. You shouldn't be running uh consumables because it lets you learn weak spots and it lets you learn how to shoot without relying on gold.
I just like to load gold and right click and left click and then auto pen people. Sarcasm.
I'll still shoot gold at defenders.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like bounce or low plate 2 out of 3 times, or shoot prem and like pin it. And then if they angle, you still can't pin it if they angle right.
But there's definitely some negatives. Like there's absolutely negatives. Like I get it. It can be very grindy, and all the arty strikes and arty, and I mean it's just, I mean it's like arty but like 10 times worse because everyone runs arty strikes and air strikes.
I run recon. I think recon's better than arty strikes, because with a lot of times with arty strike, I might get like 300 damage or something, or 400 damage, but with a recon, I usually get at least 1,000 assists if I drop a recon in the right spot. And I think they recharge faster. I think they recharge slightly faster.
Yeah, they do. You use them more often than arty strikes. Like arty strikes are really long timers, like 300 seconds or something like.
Mm-hmm.
um the other thing that kind of is rough is I feel like it does enforce bad habits. Like when Frontlines ends and then I go back to playing like regular games, there's a little bit of an adjustment period.
I mean, I think when I play Frontlines, I do play with the mentality like I don't really care if I die because I can just respawn another tank. And so I might take a risk and like, oh, I died, let's respawn. But then I'm like, oh wait, I just threw the battle. If you die in a random battle, like by making a mistake like that, well, you can make your team lose. That's one reason I don't really like Frontline, is because, well, I don't turn on grand battles because you lose the sense of strategy, I think. Like in grand battles, it's just there's too many tanks. You can't read the tank comp before the battle and be like, I think the enemy's going to do this. I think if I go here, it'll be a good play. It's just like, just drive to a spot and shoot things. And so for me, that's why I don't like Frontlines, because there's like a lack of, for me, there's kind of a big lack of thought process. You just kind of just go to the spots and shoot people. But then what you say is like that, well, that's why it's good, because you get a lot of Brawl repetitions. You get a lot of repetitions trading over and over and over, and it can really make you a better player.
And I really can't say enough about the advantage of leveling crews in Frontlines. I have like a 6 skill crew in my EBR because and only really from playing it in Frontlines. I hardly ever play it in randoms. I'm one of those horrible people that plays my EBR in Frontlines because it's so like you don't even have to think. You just jump in that thing and just drive around and shoot at stuff. You don't even have to think. You could be watching Netflix with that thing and just, oh, hey, there's somebody.
Right click, left click.
Or if you get really tilted, I go hunt Artie. I'll get in
the
EBR and I'll drive around behind the enemy lines. And the EBR is so fast that you can actually outrun the auto Artie strikes that are supposed to kill you when you go into like no man's.
Right.
So, but yeah, you can get so much crew XP out of playing that mode. So if like you have a tank that you're trying to level up, even if you don't necessarily want to play the tank itself, you could put a crew in there and you're going to level the crew so much faster, especially with boosters.
So someone in chat mentioned smoke screen. It was lug nuts. I think that smoke screen in Frontlines is broken. Not in an overpowered way, but broken in like a sense of like, I don't think it's worth using. The smoke it doesn't make sense.
It made sense when light tanks could run three perks. Because what you would do is you would run like engineering, smoke screen, and like whatever. Can't remember the one that like boosts your abilities. But it doesn't make as much sense on like heavy tanks and stuff because they're too slow. And the big negative about it is that the spotting perk spots right through it.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, because that's kind of why I think it's broken. I didn't know the spotting thing, but like for me, for a smoke, like I think it could be really cool, but then you kind of get into the debate of like, is it good for the game mode? Because a lot of people say you shouldn't play to win, you should just play to extend the game. And like smoke screens, most people use them for capping, but I think you should be able to smoke screen off like a tank destroyer position, and then they can't see through it to shoot you. So the way smoke works in most games is, well, in Counter-Strike, you really can't see inside the smoke at all. In PUBG, you can see in the smoke, but you have to be very close proximity to someone to see them. And if you're outside the smoke, you can't see through it. In Apex Legends, they kind of tweaked the smoke concept in video games, where if someone launches smoke on an area, someone outside the smoke can't snipe into the smoke and hit people. But if you go into it, you can actually see like at a pretty good distance within the smoke. So it kind of forced people to come close together to fight, but not like you're blind. You just have to hope you stumble into them. The problem with the smoke in tanks is like if one guy just YOLOs into the smoke and spots you, you're going to get sniped. You have no cover because you're lit. And then everyone outside the smoke just sees the little red outline of your tank and they can just shoot you. I think if you're in the smoke, even if you get spotted, the people outside the smoke shouldn't be able to see you. They should have to get within range, like in Apex Legends.
Yeah, it's honestly it's a pretty worthless perk. Like engineering is number one. You know, it makes you repair faster. It lets you decap people, and it makes you cap faster. So like I feel like engineering is number one.
Yeah, engineering is number one.
And then after that, it's kind of just like whatever your thing is. You know, a lot of people run arty strikes and airstrikes, and I feel like they're not very useful if you're on attack.
The smoke screen?
No,
Or
the arty strikes and the airstrikes. Like, yeah, you can get damage with it, but they're not super relevant for attacking.
but then you don't really know if you're going to be attacking team or not.
I know that's the rub, right?
Right.
You don't, but engineering is great for both attack and defense, so it doesn't really matter. That's why it's number one.
Right. I think I think people say capping is and decapping is like the best way to rank up.
Oh, it is by far, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to just complain about craft work because I feel like it is just such a trash map. Like it drives me nuts because I don't
That's
think
a
I've
new one. I haven't played
this.
it.
Yeah, it's a huge open place, and I mean it really lands. It's great for defense. It's so easy to chai snipe in the back.
It's like fish in a barrel.
Um, oh, it is, yeah, and it was already really strong for defense. The main problem is that you can get if you're on attack, you can get all the different cap points, but there's this massive open no man's land between the final cap points and the guns.
And there's a bunch of people watching that no man's land.
Yeah, and you'll just get picked off. I mean, it's rough.
See, that's actually where smoke screen would be good. You launch the smoke screen right in front of their positions, and then they can't spot you, and you can advance.
Yeah, and then Wargaming in all their wisdom, I still can't believe this. So at the beginning of not this month, but last month, they changed the cap circle on B. And B was like really the only one of the first 3 points that was kind of easy to take for the attacking team. Like you still had to fight, but you could take it. And they raised this wall up in the middle of the cap circle. So now the defense just sits there. The attacking team can't really kill them. So you can't get them off of the cap and you can't cap with them there. So they both teams just sit there. I don't know why they did that, but like it was already really strong for defense. That map is really strong for defense. And then they buffed it even more. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, this makes no sense. Why did you change it?
Wargaming has a very long history of map design blunders, to say the least. Don't get me started. I mean, I could hit you up about random battles all day. Maps for randoms. I haven't even played that map though.
Yeah, see, look what Zeb has just said. He said he sat there on B and reduce the cap points from 850 by himself. It's just so dumb.
Oh, and that probably ranks you up too then.
Oh, a ton. I bet you he got up to like captain.
High quality
Yeah,
gameplay.
they fisherman they changed because it used to be if you went on to B, you're kind of in the middle of this like castle, and there was a wall in the middle, but you could shoot over it. So if you were in like a really good hull down tall tank, like Carnarvon, you could go in there and you could easily kill the tanks that were hiding in the little kind of defense area. And they raised the wall up, so you can't shoot over it anymore. And actually, the attacking team, the only way they can shoot the stuff that's in that area is they have to go all the way around and flank, or you have to just push them like right up the middle.
Like everyone, you're gonna
And
die.
that's tough. Yeah, you're gonna die. Yeah, it's awful. Yep, he got the captain just off that.
Did he really? Did he say it?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, I don't stuff like that just makes me scratch my head because I don't get it.
I mean, you think you would test that like for an hour and be like, oh yeah, that's really stupid, and then change it, right? Like if you're testing it, and you're in the office, whatever, however before it's even tried on like a server with actual players, like you would know like right away.
You'd think so.
And you can't choose the maps, and so like if you get that map, just good luck.
Yeah, I get it. I get why people get frustrated with front lines. But honestly, I feel like the bonds and the credits and the reward tanks make it so worth it for people that don't, maybe they don't do clan wars, or they don't do ranked. So it's a pretty easy way for
Right.
somebody who's new at the game to get nice tanks or to get bonds.
Which is probably the reason I don't have interest in playing, because I have like so much gold and so much credits and good crews on almost everything. So I don't really need to grind anything. I just want to play for fun at this point. But I'm probably a small percentage of people who are in that situation, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. But I wish people would use it more as like a training tool because I think it does it also makes you I feel like it makes you read the map more. You have to sit down and kind of look, okay, they've got a bunch of guys defending here. So if I want to get damage, I should go there because there's a lot of targets. Or if I want to cap, I need to go to this one over here because they don't have very many people defending. So like it kind of makes you look at the big picture.
Right. It could almost be like with what you're saying, and I think they do like rentals and stuff. They might charge for rentals now, but everyone complains that the new player experience sucks. There's no tutorials. Like there's a little boot camp when you start the game, but that's not a lot. The only real way for people to learn is just through trial and error, or going to external resources like YouTube or Twitch, or having like friends to platoon with them. But like you could almost consider Frontline like the ultimate tutorial system or training system. It's kind of what it is.
Yeah. The one caveat is that you kind of have to have at least 4 or 5 tier 8s to play,
Right.
and you don't want them to be crappy. They need to be mobile, so you can get around the map. They can't be all slow TDs or something like that because that would take a really long time for you to actually get in the fight. And I think one of the other major negatives is all the premiums. I mean, there's a ton of
Yeah.
Progettos
Well,
and EBRs.
because the premiums are better. Just
Oh yeah,
flat
they're
out.
way better.
The premium tank spam was the reason I stopped playing tier 8 strongholds. I just lost interest. So that's definitely a repeat in Frontlines.
Yeah, I mean, you can play other things in there, and I do see people try to level up, and you will see tech tree counterparts, so like Panteras and um, oh, what's the tier 8 EBR tech tree?
The links.
The links. Yeah, you'll see a lot of links. But overall, actually, what surprised me is I saw a ton of Samoas, the premium,
It was
because they
like a
just started
rental or
selling.
something. Oh, they're selling them.
No, they just started selling them again in the shop, and I saw so many Unicums in Samoas shooting gold. Like just, oh man, that tank is so cancer if you're shooting gold.
I can't stand that tank. I don't like to play it.
It's slow. But on the initial caps, like the ABC, it heavy tanks are great for the first cap because you don't have very far to go and you can kind of brawl. So they work fine for that, or they work fine on like the final, on the objectives, but they aren't. I wouldn't play a heavy on like, DEF because
Right.
you're just
That's what I used to do. I used to always ready up the Carnarvon Action X first spawn right when it started, and then I would switch to medium after that if we won the first spawn.
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And the Carnarvon's really good for that. And then so once you hit 15, so this is new. They didn't do this last season. Once you hit 15, you get 3 daily missions for a total of 75 bonds. One of them is you have to block 2,000 damage 3 times. One of them is you have to do 5,000 damage 3 times, and one of them is you have to hit captain 3 times. And those are all very achievable. The blocking mission is definitely the most annoying though.
Just play the 112.
I play the TS5 because that thing nobody knows how to shoot it.
No.
So you just kind of drive out in the open, and people are just like ping, ping.
Yeah, that tank, man. That was another tank that when it came out, I was like, people are gonna snipe in this thing, and people are gonna think it's a bad tank, so it doesn't snipe well. But I was calling it like the best tier 8 heavy. Just go in and fight heavies and just crush people. I loved it.
Yeah, it's got a really strong lower plate too.
Yes.
Like that thing's hard to pen.
They have to shoot premium, and you have to be at the right angle. Like if you're tilted down, then the low plate becomes stronger. But if you're like, cresting hill, they can pin it.
Zebas was saying, why would anybody play for 75 bonds? But I mean, honestly, if you hit 15 in the first couple days and you do the missions every day, and you do your premium or your you do if you have premium, you do your premium random missions. 100 bonds a day is pretty nice for not very much gameplay.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the week, you're looking at 600 to 700 bonds.
And
That's
you're going to be
nice
in the
chunk.
running for like bidding on a reward tank, or you can get some nice equipment. The thing to think about too, and I think a lot of people view like the grinding in this game the wrong way. Like, it was the same way with the battle pass, because people are like, oh, like I have to play to get this stuff. This is so stupid. But you would just play that much anyways. So if we never told you about battle pass, you would have played that anyways. You would have already qualified with, the same amount of energy. And it's the same way with a lot of those missions that you're talking about. Like you pretty much just play and you're going to get them, spawn with your TS5 once and don't even think about it. And you're going to get your mission,
Yeah. I don't know. I think the community has a tendency to complain about free stuff. But I get it though. I mean, grinding, it gets old. But the nice thing is you don't have to worry about stats. If you have a bad game, who cares? And like I said, if you really don't care, you can put on Netflix. If you have 2 monitors, you can put on Netflix and drive around in EBR and you'll do stuff. It's not like playing randoms.
Or play Artie.
Artie sucks though. You don't make money, and they actually made it way harder to level up because defense as Artie used to be the best way to level up, right? Because you constantly get reset points, and they changed it. So Artie sucks. Plus, like you said, you have a lot of EBRs YOLOing around, so they die pretty quick.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Chad, do you have any other questions for us? We're kind of coming up on an hour here.
Hello, Hot Watt. She's an Artie player. That's why she's laughing. That's why she's laughing.
But Artie in Frontlines, though? Question mark.
I played Artie one time on stream because people were egging me on. I got General first time playing Artie in Frontlines, and that was back when it was stronger and easier to get. It was on the attacker team. It was hilarious.
General twice. Have you ever gotten General on attack though? That's the tricky one.
Do you think some sort of storyline would help the game? Like help Frontline?
PvE?
For me, it wouldn't. I've never I've never done campaign stuff in any game. I just go and play multiplayer.
Orange is saying that he's playing already in Frontline right now.
And I can type this because it doesn't matter.
Yep. I don't know. I think the French already is great for front lines because it's so mobile, so you can run away if like a flank is collapsing.
Right.
He's saying something like a single player co-op campaign. They do PvE. I mean, they've got their 10th anniversary or no Battle of Berlin thing that's coming up. That's PvE. And I heard that it's like an attack PvE because last time the PvE was like defense, and this time it's going to be attack, from what I've heard. I don't know. I think any PvE that they added, if it was something that was constant, people wouldn't do it. They'd get tired of it.
Right. I'll just wait for Steel Hunters. I like Steel Hunters. I probably should grind out Frontlines a little bit to get some progress.
We have one more month, right? I think of Frontline, and then it's 4 months of Steel Hunter.
Are they really doing it that way? 4 and 4.
That's how they're doing it. Yeah.
That seems bad. Seems like they should do 1 and 1.
Yep. But that's not how they did it.
Let's do it long enough for everyone to start hating it and then switch.
Yep. That seems to be the strategy. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad last year though. Like I got used to being able to grind credits in it every month, and so I don't know. And then they've taken credit boosters out, so it was really the best way to get credit.
Well, I think we kind of covered everything.
Yeah, I think we're right around an hour. And we hit everything we want to talk about. So
now I need to
see any other questions.
Now I just need to clickbait the crap out of this for YouTube. Just kidding.
Yep.
Just kidding.
All right, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Another really enjoyable hour of chatting about tanks.
It was nice. Yep.
So I'm looking forward to next week. We'll come up with some more hot topics, hot clickbaity topics.
Sounds good. Thanks for being here. Thanks for helping with everything that you do for the podcast. And thanks, chat.
They said, "What's my point of view on Kit Kats?" Well, it's a product of the Reese's family, and my last name is Reese, so I think I'm contractually bound to.
Now I need some Kit Kats.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for having me on. I'll see you all later. Have a good night.
See ya.